Okay, so today we're going to dive into the experiences of Sanjeev Kumar.
Okay.
He was an outsourced employee at AIIMS New Delhi,
Right.
hired through BECIL.
Right.
That's Broadcast Engineering Consultants India Limited,
Gotcha.
a government consultancy firm. And
Yeah.
his story really kind of, shines a light on some of the realities faced by outsourced staff in these
Definitely.
big institutions.
Yeah.
Our goal today is to really sort of understand, are there systemic issues at play here?
For sure.
So let's just jump right in.
Yeah.
The core issue seems to be these repeated delays in salary payments
Right.
that he was experiencing that caused, a lot of financial hardship.
Yeah. From what I understand from Sanjeev's account, it wasn't just kind of like an occasional late payment.
Right.
It was consistently happening.
Yeah.
So it creates a huge problem when you're trying to just cover basic living expenses like rent and bills.
Right. And you can imagine the stress that would put on somebody,
Well, to consistently not know if you're going to be able to, make rent.
Right.
And that sort of thing.
It's a lot of pressure.
And what's really troubling is that, it sounds like this financial strain led some employees to take some, pretty desperate measures.
Yeah.
Sanjeev mentions instances of, accepting bribes for faster service and even creating fake OPD cards, outpatient department cards.
Okay.
And he was very adamant that it was the system at AIIMS.
Right.
That was the core problem, not individual failings.
Right. So it sounds like he's saying that, when individuals are put under such financial pressure and they're consistently facing this kind of precarity, that unfortunately, these types of things can happen.
Right.
And it really points to, needing to look at the organizational factors.
The systemic problem.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, here's where it gets even more concerning.
Yeah.
There were rumors circulating that Sanjeev picked up on.
About potential financial mismanagement by AIIMS officers.
What kind of rumors?
Well, the rumors included, investing employee salaries in the stock market.
Oh, wow.
Or lending them to businessmen for profit.
Okay.
And that was supposedly leading to these salary delays.
So like using their salaries as like a slush fund almost.
Almost as like a, investment vehicle.
Yeah, that's a big accusation.
It is a big accusation. And, we want to be clear, these are rumors that were reported by Sanjeev.
Right, of course, yeah.
But the fact that these rumors were going around suggests a real lack of transparency and, probably led to a lot of distrust.
Right, like how are employee funds being handled?
Right.
At least how is it perceived to be handled?
Exactly. So in response to these issues, Sanjeev actually took some, pretty significant action.
What did he do?
He filed complaints against AIIMS officers, believing they were responsible for this, flawed system.
Okay.
And he also used the Right to Information Act extensively, filing numerous RTI requests to try to get some clarity and accountability on what was happening.
Wow, so he really went through the proper channels to try to...
He really did.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of courage, for an outsourced employee to take on a massive organization like this.
Yeah?
Filing these complaints and information requests, it shows that he was really committed to,
to making change.
To making change, yeah.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, Sanjeev reports that his employment was terminated by AIIMS officers.
Really?
And he believes this was retaliation for speaking out against the system and, demanding transparency.
That's unfortunately a common concern when individuals are trying to point out systemic issues within organizations.
Right.
They fear reprisal, and it often prevents people from coming forward.
It really does.
And voicing their concern.
It's a huge problem.
Absolutely.
Now, even before his termination, Sanjeev had actually proposed several ways that he thought the situation could be improved. Well, obviously ensuring timely salary payments, that's key.
Yeah.
But also implementing transparency in the recruitment process to prevent bribery.
Makes sense.
And he really stressed the importance of strictly enforcing key labor laws.
Like what kind of laws?
Well, laws like the Payment of Wages Act,
right,
which, makes sure that people are paid on time and regularly, and the Minimum Wages Act, which, sets a baseline for compensation.
Right.
And, him emphasizing these really makes me think that maybe there was a gap in how these were being implemented.
Especially for outsourced staff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in addition to those kind of more legal and financial aspects, Sanjeev also suggested providing, mental health support for employees who are under this incredible stress.
Right.
Offering soft skills training to improve patient interactions. Promoting respectful treatment of contractual staff by officers. And, establishing regular feedback meetings so that grievances could be addressed.
So really taking a more holistic view of employee well-being.
Absolutely.
Going beyond just the bare minimum requirement.
Exactly. And looking at the work environment and the pressure that people are under. So in this deep dive into Sanjeev Kumar's account, we've really seen these challenges of delayed salary payments for outsourced employees at AIIMS. And the alleged consequences stemming from this, the rumors of financial mismanagement, Sanjeev's efforts to,
seek accountability,
and his, unfortunate termination. But, he also offered these proposals for improvement and really focused on, fair labor practices and employee welfare.
So it makes you wonder, how prevalent are these kinds of issues in other sectors, other institutions?
Are we seeing the same sorts of things happening in other, large organizations that rely on,
especially on
outsourced and contract workers?
What
does that say about, how effective are these systems that are supposed to protect these employees?
It's a really important question for everyone to consider.
It really is.
And see if you can learn more about